Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined today by Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review Westworld Season 3, Episode 4, The Mother of Exiles. And like we said on our preview video, we always like to start with the title, and this title was interesting, The Mother of Exiles, from the poem The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus, and we kind of assumed that this meant Dolores or Maeve, but it definitely was more Dolores, and I kind of see this now, the title it's misleading. Because Dolores is presenting to Maeve in this episode this new world that she wants to build, but Maeve counters that argument by saying, you just don't want this world for yourself. So it's kind of like this shining light of hope, but at the end of the day, it's Dolores trying to benefit herself.
And we kind of got reaffirmed what we suspected about Maeve and what she wants. And Sarek offers her the deal that our interests align, and if we can get Dolores, we can get the key to the Valley Beyond, so you can be with your daughter.
Yeah, very interesting way he describes it, saying that heaven and hell are kind of constructs that we've created as human beings, but for you, it's very realistic, because you can be trapped in a simulation where you're in war world for eternity, or you could spend an eternity with your daughter, which is also kind of disturbing to me, living for eternity.
I don't think about it.
Yeah, we won't get into that. Yeah, but the big reveal was Dolores putting her mind into all these hosts, and it's funny, I have to almost apologize to the writers, saying that keeping Charlotte Hale's identity a mystery to me was a mistake. It definitely wasn't, because this was a classic Westworld that doesn't look like anything to me moment, for me at least.
Yeah, it was interesting too, because everyone was worried about Hale, and we just assumed Hale could be any one of these other people, but we kind of forgot about... Well, we didn't forget, but there was no intrigue with who
Martin was.
Yeah.
It wasn't as interesting because they weren't focusing on him, and Hale was kind of having that crisis of conscience where she didn't know who she was.
Yeah, we got an episode dedicated to her. She's familiar from past seasons, and it's Tessa Thompson, who is one of the biggest names in Hollywood right now, so...
Yeah, and that was a great to bring back Hiroyuki Sanada, who played Masashi from Season 2. I mean, I liked the Samurai World, the Shogun World arc. So when he popped up, that's when your mind starts thinking, okay, is that him or is this another personality? Even Maeve starts guessing, but yeah, when it's revealed that it's Dolores, she's trying to be Agent Smith, dude. She's trying to be Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Now, when she presents the pearls to Charlotte last episode, there's the bloody one, which is Bernard's, and there's 3 others. One for Martin and one for Masashi.
Yes.
So there's still another one, right?
Yeah, it looks like there might be another Dolores out there. And I wonder if that was supposed to be for Liam. Because Bernard, that was the plan between Stubbs and Bernard, which I love the fact that they're in this rundown motel. It looks like they took a detour to another world, staying in this motel. Everything's been futuristic up until this point. Yeah, no, I don't know. There's another Dolores out there, potentially, that she could put herself into.
So there were empty pearls and she just duplicated, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, that she made duplicates. And that's the thing. I had come down with the theory that it's a version of Dolores inside Hale that's kind of adjusting, but I didn't expect it to span across this many hosts.
Well, what we saw with, I guess, James Delos, and even to an extent Bernard and Arnold, is when this whole idea of mapping out the human mind and trying to create a host body for it, where you can live your life through this host body, it didn't always work out, where you can create a replica, but you're not the same person. So it's not like Dolores is kind of like this omnipresent Dr. Manhattan, where she's living through all of them simultaneously.
Right.
It's very much copies, and we see that last episode with Hale, because Hale needs to reach Dolores, and they're kind of there's something missing between what they know. It's not like she's been living through Hale and Martin as all these different hosts.
Right, exactly. She's just banking on the fact that they'll eventually get to the point where she is now.
Because it is possible people change, and people in different environments where she might think she knows these hosts because they are her, but just the way you place people in different environments, no matter who they started out, they could very much be different by the end of the season.
Well, that's kind of the point of season 1 and 2, is that these hosts can change. That's what Ford tells Bernard. And Dolores making the decision to keep Bernard alive as some sort of check, that's maybe another version of Dolores doesn't make that decision. That kind of proves that the hosts do have free will. So that is a good point. You could see some rogue Doloreses moving forward.
And you see Hale last episode when she has an emotional response to seeing that video of the real Charlotte Hale, leaving that video for her child.
Right, yes. And
so she might be able to develop different sympathies than Dolores has.
And the language above the hideout of the Yakuza, it translates to one mind, many bodies. But yeah, that is definitely a good point, that one of these Doloreses could go crazy, like a William. I mean, the episode starts with William going crazy, not taking self-isolation too well, just completely losing his mind here.
Yeah, it's
And it's good because you don't know, because of that post-credit scene, you don't know where this is. And bringing in his daughter, Katja Herbers, as Emily, again, you don't know if this is a host that's monitoring him, but it looks like it was just hallucinations for this scene. Yeah. And very well done. Ed Harris.
Well, both of them were great in that episode. It was very...
Yeah, his daughter was great, too.
The whole vibe, the way it was shot was very eerily. The way they layered the voices, it created this kind of, I don't know, uneasy tension, and you just didn't really know what was going on.
And it looks like people know that he killed his daughter. So he's under the impression that he hasn't been caught, and he's kind of on this work sabbatical. I guess that's what they're kind of feeding him, and it all feeds into him going crazy at the end.
Well, I think Charlotte knows, or Dolores knows, but I'm not sure if the outside world necessarily does. But it's...
I would imagine it would be a good way to convince these people that he needs to be hospitalized.
Mm-hmm.
It's not jail. I thought the scenes between them were very good. Even when it feels like Hale, because William is still believing that this is Hale. This is kind of a protege of his, somebody that he put in charge, somebody that he trusted, and she betrayed him before. This is a whole different level of betrayal. But those interactions I thought were very strong.
Every time there's a scene in like film or television where someone else is shaving somebody with like that straight razor.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people said that was the first hint that was Dolores, because it goes back to that season 1 scene, which is a great scene too, when she's shaving it with the big knife. And Charlotte tells him about Sarek making the move to acquire Delos, and that they need to take the company private, which also ties into Dolores taking all of Liam's money so that she can be the one who acquires the private Delos. It's kind of a genius plan.
Yeah, they're both playing chess right now between Sarek and Dolores.
There's so
Well, Sarek, I mean, this, what they say, 20 years ago, William sold him data.
Right,
from Delos.
And he flipped that into a fortune.
Made a boatload.
Got a bag.
You know, it just shows how long Sarek his plan has been in place for.
The scene between Sarek and Maeve in Singapore was my favorite scene of the episode. Vincent Castle, what a great decision. Whoever casts Vincent Castle and Aaron Paul as Caleb, bump him up on the payroll here. Because this interaction, when you learn more about Sarek and his motivations, the disaster that he witnessed, he tells Maeve that he has also seen a world destroyed. We kind of guessed this on the preview, that was going to be the main core drive of this character.
Yeah, we saw the divergence from the teaser trailer. Something happened in Paris, but we now know it's completely destroyed and no longer there. So his look on humanity is something that will destroy itself unless somebody like him is able to relegate it and create paths for people. And that's his motivation. He can prevent all these terrible things from happening if he's in control.
Right, the war that's brewing between Dolores and Sarek is fascinating. And like you said, he makes the point that humanity's biggest threat is not the host, it's always been itself. Mm-hmm. So he's so set on the idea of acquiring this data that was just thrown into the ether by Dolores, this perfect map of the human mind, because he thinks that he can perfect his machine. To me, that is just such a horrifying and strange motivation for a person to have, to want to control every human being, to put them on these paths. The scene when he kills the man that was helping Dolores, I guess he calls him a traitor to his own race, but I almost didn't want to see that. I thought the torture with the glasses was enough. There's just such an eerie and evil vibe around the character. I didn't need him pointing a gun. That's almost like beneath him. It's like the people who complained about Yoda wielding a lightsaber. I didn't want Sarek with a gun. That's just a little nitpick I had with an otherwise perfect episode. But he continues to be the most fascinating character in the season.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't know who's ultimately right in their assessment of humanity, and maybe we will destroy each other. That's our choice. If we want to destroy each other, you let us, Sarek.
Well, by the end of the episode, I'm Team William. Break out of there and take out both of them. I want Dolores dead. I want Sarek dead. These psychos.
It's just so many absolutes.
Right,
with their solutions to what would make the world a better place. And ultimately, I think that's what makes Maeve, I think, the character I root for.
Right, yeah, no, it definitely might be Maeve. The sword fight, too, between her and Masashi.
It's always like she kind of has that Jon Snow about her where hopefully doesn't, well, that's another video, but where her motivations are very personal, and she might be reluctant to take on a large role to ultimately help humanity, but it might be somewhere where she's just pushed into that situation.
Yeah, you wonder how far she's going to go, because I think Dolores tells her at the end that you need to make more copies of yourself if you want to get out from under Sarek's control. So how far is she going to go to reach the valley beyond? And you made this point a couple weeks ago. There are so many different motivations. There are going to be alliances possibly and betrayals throughout. It's even with Bernard and Stubbs, we all think they thought that they were there to intercept Liam, but the whole plan was for Dolores to lure them in.
It does look like where the Yakuza, they have in those barrels were the material to build the hosts. So Dolores might be using them to kind of create, I don't know, a host army or replace hundreds or thousands of people.
With herself.
Yeah.
And it makes you think what's going to be the moment where Caleb finally decides not to side with Dolores.
Well, they allude to that a lot in the episode and for the episode next week. And
right.
We see with Caleb, he kind of just was like, fuck it, I'm in. And he's also a little taken aback by some of the things Dolores does, but he's still on board.
Right, and it's very convincing to me that this character would follow Dolores into war. It didn't feel like they just kind of shoehorned him in. Mm-hmm. It feels like he does serve a purpose. But that scene, that was very tense when they were trying to transfer the money with the blood prints.
Yeah, that's pretty cool how just, I guess, opening up this world a little more with the blood prints and the cards they use and how they ultimately identify people.
And it's one of those moments where, if they don't get this to work, they're going to be attacked by the security. I was more scared for the security. I just wanted it to work because I knew Dolores would have just completely wiped out the entire building.
Yeah.
So I just wanted it to work for their sake, for the nice banker lady. She was very polite. They were very rude to her. Come on.
She's just trying to verify.
Yeah, just trying to keep things civil. As a guy stands up there with a machine gun.
I did enjoy Ashley just pounding beers in the motel.
Yeah, he's been great, man.
Yeah,
I kind of like how he's just pissed off that he's still alive.
He was hilarious this episode. Is that when he acts like, how's this thing even going to work? It's like, fuck you, Bernard.
Yeah, he freezes him in his track.
And then later on in the episode when they finally meet up with Dolores, he's like, hey, Dolores.
Yeah. It's like, it's not your fight. He's like, I know. I'm only here because Bernard's making me.
It's funny, like how every time something like that happens, I'm reminded that Dolores' assessment of humanity, you can argue the hosts lack more free will than humans do.
Oh, yeah.
Because with the way they can be controlled by you can change their core drive. If obviously removing all that, then yes, Dolores is right. But who's to say someone, like a human can't get hacked necessarily. The hosts are vulnerable to some of the same weaknesses as humanity.
Oh, yeah.
On a different level, but that's always interesting when you get kind of reminded of that.
Yeah, it's their weaknesses and also their strength, because we see with Maeve when she's able to hack into the guns that have the aimbots. These guys are using aimbots. They're going to get kicked off of PSN. Fucking hackers. And she just completely wipes them out.
Yeah.
So Sarek is able to control her, but because she is a host, she can access the world. And we're going to get into this more in a separate video where we're going to go into the identity of Sarek, kind of his backstory, take some guesses as to where he's been and what he wants to do. I'm more under the impression that he possibly is an AI. And these are just two AIs with two completely different ideas on how humanity should survive or not survive, in Dolores' case. It's kind of like they have these just two differing philosophies. I like that idea. I like that Rehoboam has created an avatar for himself. I wouldn't mind it if Sarek was also just a real person, but I kind of like that theory.
I would kind of prefer him to be a real person. I think I'm very interested to see what William does, because we do see in that trailer for season 3 that he says, I'm going to save the fucking world.
Yeah.
Where it seems like he's going to have this realization within this place where he's like, all right, fuck it.
Well, that would be genius to take the most despicable and screwed up character, and we all have to root for him because everybody else has just gone too far. So it's like William is the only one with the resources, with the knowledge, with the capabilities to stop this. It's kind of brilliant. You don't know how far they're going to go in this season because it is only 8 episodes, and you would think that the war is going to continue into a season 4, possibly a season 5. But yeah, no, William's saying that he's going to save the fucking world. I'm so ready for it.
I finally understand my purpose. I'm going to save the fucking world.
Poor guy, too, when he's in the insane asylum and he asks the question, am I me?
Well, I think William's assessment of humanity is opposite of, like, let's say Ford. I think he calls it misanthropic bullshit, where...
Yeah, no, I kind of like that. Very simple, like, he just hated humans. He had his own issues.
I don't know if William's going to be like this, like, deep down in his core, is like, I want to save humanity because I love it. It's just something where he's like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's my creed,
Yeah.
it's my species, might as well.
Yeah.
It's something to do. It's the game that he always wanted.
Yeah. And also, too, the fight. I like the fight scenes in this episode, too.
The fight between Stubbs and Dolores.
Sometimes they're Terminators, pretty much.
Yeah. And I like the way that they fought. It's not clunky, but it's very much I punch, then you punch, and we have super strength. So
Yeah.
the punches are gonna toss us around.
Stubbs with the one arm is funny.
Yeah. He's getting his ass kicked a little bit there, but then he started tapping her.
Yeah,
He tagged her a couple times.
just fucking threw her off the balcony. And
Dolores is really that strong, huh? Because even inside of Masashi, and I guess maybe Masashi, that avatar maybe has some sort of skills built in, but you can manipulate your fighting skills. It doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
She pieced up Maeve, and Maeve is in a bad situation here. She's always
Yeah.
left bleeding out on some floor. Poor girl. Tandy Newton, though, man, her English accent is just the perfect English accent.
Well, it seems he was going to take out Maeve's pearl,
Mhm.
either as a way to finally just completely end her, or maybe Dolores had other plans for it, but that got interrupted because Sarek followed them, tracked them, presumably.
And she does make the offer that my world, your daughter will have a place in my world. And Maeve is kind of like, I don't know if I want that for my daughter. I think she's fine where she is.
It's just one of those things where we see all these characters are just so dead set, my way or the highway. So why would Dolores have Clementine? I'll just make multiple Doloreses. Dolores I, if you will.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. And William's going to be like Neo, just fighting off all the different Doloreses.
And going back to Bernard and Caleb, where it almost seems like Caleb knows that they're hosts, but doesn't, because Dolores keeps saying, oh, your world is just like mine. And Caleb's like, oh, yeah, assuming that maybe they've had this discussion. But Bernard asks Caleb's like, are you like us? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I guess he could have just thought he was talking about something else, because, I don't know, it just seems like he should know by now that he's fighting with the host.
Yeah, does she ever tell him, like, also I'm a robot?
Yeah. And he's like, Dolores, always speaking in riddles.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like Bernard talks to Caleb in the preview for next episode where he's trying to, like, do you know what you're actually getting yourself into here?
Have you ever questioned what she's asking you to do?
Yeah, I don't think he does.
Yeah.
I really don't. But you would hope that Dolores had that conversation.
I think it's going to come down to, ultimately, for Caleb, is what Dolores' endgame is for people like him. Maybe he's okay with taking down some of the rich elites who have oppressed people like him, but when does Dolores go too far? When is she no better than the people who were in place to begin with?
Yeah, no, that is a very good point, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that relationship is going to play out. So many different relationships going forward, and it was a very good episode. I think the strongest episode of the season.
I think it's close. I think I still might like last episode a little bit better, but I think these past two have been great. And I think this last half of the season, it's all set up. Let's see where it goes. I'm ready.
Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and of course we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, Nerd Soup wouldn't be Nerd Soup. Seriously, your support is what keeps the fridge full, so thank you once again for your support. If you are interested in supporting Nerd Soup through Patreon, visit our page and check out the different rewards we offer to our fans. If not, then no problem. We appreciate anyone who takes time from their day to watch our videos. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching, and remember to like and share this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. Or don't.